Internet of Things in the maritime industry. The industry is currently undergoing a huge transformation with technology, artificial intelligence, and so on. And in this session, we want to have a conversation about how this is, one, transforming the industry, but also how regulations are or aren't or could be keeping up with that rapid transformation. So with me for this session, I have Martin Skedsmo, who is from the Kongsberg Satellite Services in Norway, and also Dr. Ramana Akkaraju, who is the Chairperson of the Mangalore Port Authority. Thank you for joining us both today for this conversation. So I guess it would just be really useful to start out with sort of setting the scene and get both of your probably quite different perspectives on how the industry is transforming at the moment. So maybe Dr. Ramana, we'll start with you. How do you see things from your perspective in Mangalore?
So actually, earlier maritime trade and maritime economy, before the advent of IoT and artificial intelligence and big data and data analytics, it used to be very, very, very traditional and conventional, where a certain amount of speed, accuracy, efficiency, and productivity was missing. I don't say that they were not there, they were there, but perhaps we could have got much more. Now, luckily, after the advent of IoT and associated technologies, we are able to make the best use of the things. As you know, in maritime infrastructure, you have the sea, you have the ship, you have the port, you have the cargo, and you have the associated things. Unless these things talk to each other, communicate with each other in a seamless way, then only the otherwise physical distance can't be shortened. As you know, in maritime trade, the exporter is at one place, importer is at one place, the port of export is one place, port of import is somewhere, the ship in between which carries, it will be going through high oceans. Distance is a big issue. Now, after the advent of this IoT, which you call it as Internet of Technology for maritime trade, maritime sector, now with this, the distances have reduced, they have come close. The cargo is able to communicate with the ship. The ship is able to communicate with the sea, and both are able to talk to the exporter and importer. And because the maritime infrastructure is able to have a seamless connectivity, communication, and real-time data processing, we are able to improve the efficiency, we are able to reduce the cost of transportation, we are able to increase the safety and security. And this is what the new blue economy is. So it is really helping in a long way, large way. And whatever amount of benefit that we are exploiting now is not peak. We are yet to reach the peak. Probably we are at 1/4 of the peak. We have to travel a long distance to touch the peak.
So from Norway's perspective, which is such an important role in the maritime industry, what are some of the key innovations you're seeing around technology that are really exciting for the sector, or perhaps a real challenge for the sector as well?
Well, I would like to start with something that Dr. Ramana said on IoT, Internet of Things, and real-time, near real-time. We've been in the business for more than 50 years. We do basically talk to satellites. We have lots of ground stations all over the world in 29 different locations, making us able to talk to all kinds of satellite providers, downloading data. That's Internet of Things. That's lots of data. Actually, there's several sensors we use to be able to track vessels, to look for oil spills globally, but we are also able to do it near real time, meaning that whenever a satellite flies over, let's say, India, we will be able to download the data on one of the ground stations, having it analyzed by the use of AI, and sent it out to the customer within 20 to 25 minutes after the image being acquired. That's near real time with multi-mission, and I think that's what we see from doing this for more than 50 years. At the start, we had to like download the data, put it on tape, and send it on a boat. It could take days before the customer would have the result. Today, we could provide it within 20 to 25 minutes.
Yeah. Phenomenal. And something just to pick up on there is we talk about trade and trade efficiency and so on, but you actually mentioned oil spills as well. So it actually has an important role to play in terms of, I guess, ESG and, around environmental management as well, which is really exciting too.
Yes, it's all about governance of the oceans, right? So that's oil spill, that's pollution. That's also how we do sustainability to fishing. We have IUU fishing, illegal fishing activities. They say that every fifth fish on the plate is caught illegally. That's not sustainable at all. We can monitor this with the use of satellites.
Yeah, that's really exciting. And so this means you're working in an environment that is really challenging from a regulatory perspective. So maybe if you could talk, Dr. Ramana, from the Indian, I guess, when you're talking about a port that's in India, how do you manage regulation when it comes to technological developments? And then perhaps we'll come to the more perhaps international regulatory environment and how you approach this. But from that, really localized level, how are you managing this in India? What's happening? What are the regulatory challenges?
See, as far as the Indian scenario is concerned, particularly in the past 10 to 15 years, we really are riding through a digital revolution. Whether it is ease of doing business, that means digitization of all the port and maritime trade related documents into the digital form. Whether it is enhancing the security at the port, at the ship, by making use of leveraging the technology like satellite communication, drone surveillance, RFID, this type of things. And when it comes to the smart management of safety of the people working on the board of the vessel, safety of the people working at the yard. In India, we have adopted the latest IoT technologies, including the big data, including the artificial intelligence to a great extent. If you see any Indian port, the gate entry exits are to face recognition. There are drones, particularly in my port, Mangalore port, which flies at equal intervals. And as you said, checks for oil pollution, checks for safety violations, checks for traffic congestion, and all these things. So this helps the port management to a large extent. As far as the regulations are concerned, there are regulations in place. For example, for drone, no drone zones, there is a regulation. For digitization, there is a regulation. Different regulations are there. But the main issue is when it comes to the global level, we, in view of the latest IoTM and associated technologies, we need to upgrade our navigational regulations. For navigating a vessel, you have international conventions, international regulations. These are all made long back. Now, with the advent of this technology, there is a need to modify, upgrade these regulations. Similarly, as far as the governance, digital governance is concerned, there is a need for making a uniform digital governance for the maritime domain. This is also required. And perhaps all the countries on a global level, we should do this so that when a vessel comes from port to port, country to country, there won't be any hazards. That's what we had to work out. Of course, definitely it will be done because these things are inescapable. Whether you want it or not, you have to adopt technology. Otherwise, you can't survive. Similarly, whether you want it or not, you should have the regulations in place. Otherwise, the trade can't continue.
Yeah.
So this is going to happen.
What's the role for India in that? Because, India has, globally leading technology stack, and you sort of dealt with this in other areas, around digital ID and payments and all these kinds of things. So, this interoperable governance piece here, what role is there for India in leading that conversation?
Can you repeat it?
What role is there for India in leading that global conversation that you mentioned?
Yeah, definitely. Because as you said, India is riding the digital evolution wave. And because we are, for example, Bill of Lading. Bill of Lading was a document which was not legally accepted if it is digitized in India first.
Yeah.
But later, the government has sensed that, has noticed that, and they changed the regulations so that it will have the legal standing. Like that, there are many other areas which we are looking at, and which we are changing the regulations accordingly so that there will be no hazards for the trade. I just gave an example because we can't get into each and everything. I gave a simple example.
That's really
That's
helpful.
how we are moving.
Yeah.
And you must have heard in India, ease of doing business. It's a very great thing that we have adopted, particularly in the last 15 years. Ease of doing business starts from the point of export till the point of import, end to end. Whatever procedures are there, whatever segments are there, whatever hazards are there, if digitization is required, digitization is done. Just digitization will not help. A digitization should be backed up by a regulation. Then only it will have the real fruits.
And we often
That's what we are doing in India.
That's right, and we often talk about digital economy and digital trade and so on, but actually the trade's happening at the port, and when whatever the product is gets on the back of the ship and off it goes. So that's a really important point to remember.
All these things are backed up by regulations.
And so, Martin, from your perspective, I mean, you work in a sector that I imagine has lots of regulatory challenges from an oceans perspective, also a space perspective, which is sort of the new frontier as well of regulation. So what are you seeing as some of the regulatory challenges and opportunities, and how do you approach what you do from a regulatory standpoint?
I think you can divide it into like two things here. One would be for oil spill, that as for Norway, we would have to, it's mandatory to monitor your assets. So for the Norwegian continental shelf, everybody that deals within the energy sector would have to prove that they're doing clean seas. So we monitor the Norwegian continental shelf every single day with satellites. If we see an oil spill, it's being reported back to the authorities and they take action. On the regulations for vessel traffic, every vessel above a certain size needs to have something called an AIS tracker, saying something about the name of the ship, the cargo they're carrying, where they're coming from, where they're heading to. Illegal fishing activities, they choose to turn off the AIS. So you can't see them. You don't know where they are. We can see them on a satellite. With AI involved as well, we are able to track them down. We could monitor them even without the AIS system. So regulation says they need to have it on. They choose not to, but we can still see them. So there are things available with satellite sensors, even though if people choose to do it legally.
I love, I'm an avid sailor, and I often get out my app and I go, oh, what's that ship over there? And you can have a look and see all their information and, where they're flagged. And but I think what's interesting there is how you're actually able to use that technology without the AIS tracker as well. So what can other countries learn from, or what can the international regulatory environment learn from what Norway is doing?
Well, for the IUU fishing thing, there is something in Norway called the Blue Justice Initiative. That's a Norwegian-funded initiative with more than 60 countries, member states. The Maldives, Indonesia, hopefully India soon. All of these countries struggle with illegal fishing activities or illegal activities. So what we do there is we're trying to implement satellite imagery, different kinds of sensors, to be able to monitor and even identify those who do illegal activities in all of these 60 countries. I think that is something that could be increased to involve more countries, as India, as I mentioned. But it would be maybe taking new technology into another way of governance of the oceans, especially for sustainability, for fisheries. There are strict regulations, but we see that they don't care too much about it. If you're into illegal fishing activities, you still continue to do it. This is a way of dealing with it.
Yeah, that's really interesting. How do you get other countries on board with that? What is that, how does this Blue Justice Initiative work?
some of the member states are probably more eager than others, but all of them struggle with the same challenges. Illegal fishing activities, they lose lots of money to this. What they do is they report their concerns into the Blood Justice Initiative that's being handled throughout something called the International Tracking Center in Norway. They work 24/7 to look on vessel traffic by the use of AIS, but now more and more by the use of traditional satellite imagery, such as optical imagery or radar imagery, to be able to track down the vessels in those EEZs.
Yeah, that's super interesting. Just to kind of take a different direction with the conversation, I'm interested in sort of, I guess, the different levels that countries and companies and so on are at in terms of their digitization or automation or just technology in general. And I suppose being at sort of the coalface of ships coming into ports in India, do you see challenges around that? So where, one company or one country, they're not as progressive on the digital side of things, but you've digitized XYZ, or even reverse, where you have a highly technological ship that comes in and you're not able to make. How does that work? How does that interaction work?
So actually, as you know, digitization is more thrust is there on documentation. When an export or import has to happen, whatever process and procedures are there, documents are there, we try to digitize it. I think now globally, almost all the countries are in the level playing field. They have come on the uniform platform. As far as the digitization of the maritime documents are concerned, there is no much issues. Only thing is, with respect to certain countries, the government agencies like customs, immigration, perhaps in the case of some countries, they have to move much forward. That's the only thing which we are finding it difficult. As far as the digitization and automation is concerned, you can broadly say seaside and shoreside and associated activities. When you talk about seaside, as he rightly said, Mr. Watson has rightly said, you have the navigational digitization and automation and IoTM, and also you need identification. I put it like this: identification and navigation of the vessels. Here IoTM is required, and also associated things are required, including the digitization, and it is happening. Second thing is, as the vessel approaches the port, you need pilotage and VTMS, as Mr. Watson has rightly said. Pilotage and VTMS also needs IoTM technologies, including artificial intelligence, big data, and data analytics, so that they can escape the congestion. They can perhaps, with lesser dependence on navigational aids like tugs and other things, they can come on their own, reach the port safely. So here, the efficiency, safety, security, and the economics, they are really taken care by IoTM. That's about the seaside. When it comes to shore side, you have the cargo handling equipment like mobile harbor cranes, tractor trailers, and quayside gantry cranes, and way bridges. These are also have gone through the digitization and also automation and big data. And apart from this, as I have rightly said, the security at the port, by making use of these IoTM technologies, including the satellite connectivity, we are able to have a better, easy, efficient security, which is more reliable, which is on real-time databases. That's a very big thing. When it comes to safety of the people working on the board of the vessel, when it comes to safety of the people working with the cargo handling equipment, including the yards and other places, particularly in the oil terminals, by making use of this IoTM technologies, big data and all, big data tells you if what goes wrong, what will happen. IoTM ensures that connectivity is there. Real-time data is analyzed. By making use of all these things, the safety is also ensured. So both on the ship side and the shore side, on the ship side particularly, where the breakdown can happen, what will happen with the fuel efficiency, what is happening to the fuel consumption, how many people you can keep and how many bare minimum people you can keep, all these things are analyzed by using big data and IoTM. So that the ship, as you say, a stitch in time saves 9. When the ship breaks down, if you want to repair it, say a crankshaft, it takes time, a lot of money. Whereas by having a set of sensors and IoTM technology, you are able to, on the real-time basis, you are able to predict when the particular part, what is the weakest part in the ship, when it can fail, and when you have to report so that you need not go through the failure process and save time, just like aero technology. In the aircrafts, you can't wait for a part to break. Cuts regard security. Here also same thing. So you can save a lot of money, tons and tons of dollars you can save. Similarly, on the shore side also, I am having a mobile harbor crane. Mobile harbor cranes, they have the tendency to break down because of hydraulics and other things. If you wait for it to fail, you will lose time. You can't afford money for breakdown. So real-time data analytics. You will replace much in advance, in time, so that the money, time, efficiency can be assured. So that's what is happening on the sea side, shore side, and the associated sides also.
I've got one last question for you, and it's a really quick one. You mentioned pilotage. Will we ever see a day where pilotage happens with autonomous systems rather than actually taking, with an incredibly dangerous job to get the pilot on board?
I think Front Port or something, one of the global ports, they are having this particular technology and autonomous vehicles. Why not? See, I always tell many people, including the universities, wherever I go, because I go as a guest lecturer to IIT also, IIT, Chennai and other places. When an aircraft can land, why not just a ship? You are having buoys, you are having navigational channel. By having a set of sensor, big data, and also the tracking, GPS, by using the satellite technology, it can be done very easily. Research is going on.
Are you seeing this happen anywhere else? Smart ports where, you know, are we going to get to that stage where a ship will turn up and instead of having a pilot go out and climb up the side, that will come into the port autonomously?
Happen. Yes, I'm pretty sure it will happen.
Excellent.
All right. It's not... I'm telling you, in the next 5 to 10 years, you will see this also happen.
Exactly.
It is now on the pilot basis, trial basis. It is going to be on full-time basis. It's very easy.
Fantastic. All right. Well, thank you both so much for your time today. This has been a really interesting conversation about the maritime Internet of Things and the future of technology in the maritime industry. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Martin and Mr. Watson. Thank you very much.
Thank you.